already been talking, but Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What's going on, people?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Good.
Okay, tell us this though. When did you start? How long has it been? I don't even know myself, to be honest.
So I bought the course very early on. I'd say December time, but then I
Not
never
the first
start.
Jihad, though. I think Jihad was like the second guy.
Yeah, but I never start. I never started straight away. I started maybe March time after I registered and done all the things. I'd recommend anyone who buys the course now to literally be setting up while they're doing the course. It
Yeah.
makes more sense because if you take like a month to do the course, which is probably normal, registering takes about a month or so as well.
Yeah, it
So
does
if,
take
if
time.
so if they
How
get
long
that
did it
done
take
out
you
the
guys?
way.
How long did it take you guys to complete the course? Just because, you know, it is some people come with the avenue like they're like, oh, listen, like I can start next week, right? But it's like I don't think you realize like the course is kind of long as well, and you kind of have to like some parts you probably have to review. If you don't review it, it's impossible to like remember it basically. How long did it take you guys?
Well, me, when I got it soon it came out, and soon it came out, we had that 1 week New Year's Day, that week
Oh
where it
yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
that whole week we had off. So I just banged out the whole course that whole week.
Oh, in that
And
1 week.
yeah, the whole 1 week I did it, and anything I didn't understand, I used to go back to it. But I basically started soon everything opened up. I basically started making calls. So the week after that.
That is so interesting because so when you started making the calls, because you I guess started making the calls in January, and January usually is like a little bit like people don't really want to talk. How did you
Yeah,
find it
it was
straight away?
like that. It was like that. It was very slow. Like I started calling in January, and I was getting emails, I was getting leads, but it wasn't really going anywhere.
Yeah,
But it wasn't until March where I got like a solid lead where I actually got like someone like, yeah, send me candidates, sent over candidates, and I was actually getting correspondence.
yeah,
Whereas some people were like, yeah, send us candidates, and I'll send the candidates over according to what they needed. They
yeah.
would never get back to you.
For those that don't know, obviously I know, but like how were you managing everything? I don't know like how are you doing it right now as well, I guess. But how were you managing it before? Like were you working or what were you doing?
Yeah, I'm personally still working.
Yeah.
Because I'm on obviously I'm on a trainee scheme at the moment, so I'm waiting until I finish uni before I basically leave work. But the way I do it is I normally get an hour break. So what I'll do is the night before I'll make my sales list. I'll make all the sales in that hour break. And then afterwards what I'll do is any leads I get, I'll chase them up at the end of the day and I'll call candidates after work because most of the time candidates are mostly already in work. So that's the time they're free anyway. So that's what
What
I
would
found
you
was
say to people
suitable.
who say, look, I work a job, I can't basically like I can't
Well,
do something.
be realistic, innit, really? Like everyone's workload is different. Yeah, everyone's got their job role is different. Everyone's workload is different. Some might not get an hour break, some might get a half an hour. So don't feel obliged that you have to hit that 50 sale calls a day mark. Even if you're hitting 10 is better than zero, innit?
Mm.
Basically the most important thing is don't try and call straight from Google. Like I said, like the night before, make sure you at least have a sales list. If you have 50 sales and you make the 10 calls, just save the next 40 for the next day or something, you know what I mean? Because one is better than none, really, innit? And it's important to obviously follow up with the leads afterwards rather than just getting a lead and moving on to the next one, and just leaving it there, like, you know what I
You
mean?
know, it's interesting you make that point though, because you know, like a lot of people do actually think though that I can't because obviously I can't give it X amount of time. But am I wrong in saying the reason I want to talk to you guys today, yeah, is because I guess me saying it, I would say it always anyway, right? But it's better coming from you guys because it's like, look, can you not just do you have to make 50 calls or can you just is making 2 calls a day not better than not doing no calls, basically?
Yeah, of course it is, because those 2 calls a day could be the 2 out of the 50 that may lead to a lead, innit?
Of course.
Because out of all the 50, you don't know which one's going to be a lead.
Yeah.
It could be the first call you call, innit? Or you can even be the last one.
Yeah.
That's why you should always try and follow through as many as you can, innit?
And I guess the reality is, man, like, cool, okay, someone making 50 calls a day is obviously going to have, you're putting more into it and therefore you're going to have more success. But someone who does 2 calls a day, it just might take them longer. But it's not to say that they still can't make
It
something.
won't happen, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Like let's say even if they end up getting one placement a year, for example, yeah, which is very rare to be honest, but if they did, it's still one more placement more than they would have done that they wouldn't have got if they didn't do
so are you
the
saying
calls.
getting one placement a year is rare? Why would you say that?
No, I'd say it's rare in terms of that it won't be the case where you'll only get if you're making the calls, you're not just gonna get one placement. you'll get more than one lead, and whether you make that lead into a placement or not, that's the rest up to you. And the hard part is obviously getting the lead. Really,
Yeah,
and
no, I
truly.
agree. I agree. Seth, when did you start, my brother?
I started about, I'd say, 2.5 weeks ago. So I actually tried to go in full time, you see. So mine's a bit different than the other brother. Alhamdulillah.
Seth's got some cojones, you know what I mean? Seth's got yeah. So okay, I think a lot of people would, and by the way, right, I don't actually recommend everyone, because look, man, everyone's situation is different. You know what I mean? You maybe can do something, but someone else can't because, you know, someone might have a whole household that they need to look after. But tell us your story. Like, what did you do?
Yeah, like you said, everyone's situation is different, 100%. And what I would say is, if, for example, I had, you know, different responsibilities, I had children, I was married, then I would definitely think twice, or at least 3 times before going ahead and, you know, quitting work altogether. I decided, to be honest, that working was just getting to me. And I was speaking to you as well, as you know, and I was just thinking, look, if I've got a business idea, I've planned everything right. I went through the course. It didn't take me a week like the other brother, like Allahumma barik. He smashed work. For me, bro, it took about, I'd say about 3-4 months, bro.
Really?
Going
Okay.
through each lesson, like each module, a couple of times, writing notes down. I felt like everything was ready, and that's it. I just went into the deep end. But obviously, what I would say is, if anyone's thinking of doing that, is don't, because I feel like recently as well, it's quite easy to just say quit your job. You know what I mean? You know, work, you know, in a business full time, whatever. But you have to make a calculated risk, don't you?
Yeah.
So have some money saved to a side. If you can do it part time, do it part time. If you've got the opportunity to go full time and smash it out, do it. And inshallah, it'll work out for you. So alhamdulillah, I've been doing this for about 2.5 weeks now. I've been, you know, it's obviously easier for me to smash out the targets, make the calls, because I'm not having to, you know, do it in any type of like break or anything like that. Alhamdulillah. So I've been doing it for 2.5 weeks, and last week, you know, alhamdulillah, 2 of my candidates got interviews. Don't get me wrong, even though they didn't, you know, they didn't choose to go ahead with the job, but like it shows that doing it only for 2.5 weeks, already 2 interviews. If
But not
you
only
know what I
did they
mean,
get the interviews, the client offered them the job as well, right? It's just
yeah,
that
yeah,
the candidate didn't take it. And, you know, listen, Mel, make it easy for you, and, you know, inshallah something comes up. But 2.5 weeks, like, it shows, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Like,
just shows. Yeah, yeah. Like me personally, like my situation, obviously I'm tied down to a degree right now. Yeah. But if I wasn't, I would go full time 100%, because I've seen the results in part time. So I sometimes I say to me, imagine I could put my full time into it.
yeah,
The amount of, like, you know, the amount of placements I'd be able to get, inshallah, it would have been much more
of course.
percentage.
You know, it is, man. But I would say though, Allah Mubarak, like, it is on you guys as well. Like, I know, Ronnie, you're working, you do it part-time basically, because you're doing it around your job, right? But this is why I say that it genuinely just comes down to your work ethic, right? Even Seth now, look, he quit his job. Okay, now he's doing it full-time, and he's putting the effort in. Reality is, if you put the effort in and you're like even spending 1 hour, if you spend 1-2 hours a week, honestly, cool. You might not get something in the first week. You might not get something in the first month. The reality is, you might get something in 5-6 months, and that's much better than not having anything in the first place. Like, there's light at the end of the tunnel, which you would never, which you just can't, which you won't have otherwise. If you just keep working your job, there's no light basically. Which is, yeah, man. Man, like Ronnie, I want to know you though, because you had some success, obviously. You know what it is, by the way, I don't want you guys to like go into like exact numbers and stuff like that, like, because pain is real and it's just no need yet. But what did you find hard, and what did you find, like, when you saw your first some element of success, whatever that was, what did you think? Did you think, raw, like, I didn't think it could work? Did you believe in it? Like, did you trust that you could make it work?
So I'd say from the start, you know what, it is. I really think it's a mindset thing. At the beginning, I was doing the work, I was doing calls, emails, and whatnot, not seeing anything happen, but I was just being robotic, just, you know, churning them through, getting some numbers up, whatnot. But when you get your first green light, it took me about a month or 2 to get my first green light. When I got that, my mind went mad. I was like, okay, this could be X amount of money if I do this correctly.
Yeah,
And that X amount of money to get like a pay rise at my job,
yeah,
I know it would take ages for me to get that kind of pay rise.
course.
So in my head, I was like, okay. But my first green light, I remember talking to you about it as well. I got the right candidate.
Wait,
I got
was this when I was in Dubai?
no, that's a
Oh,
different
okay,
one.
was this later?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was my first green light.
Okay,
So
okay.
this first green light, I got the right candidate. I got the right manager. I got them to do an interview. So this was straight away in like the first few months. But then I found out that my candidate had a 3-month notice period, and that completely made the whole deal breakthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, my mindset has shifted now. I realized, okay, I was this close, but some small things that a recruiter should know, to be fair, I just never asked that question about notice period. That's a question that everyone should ask before they send a CV over or whatnot. And yeah, I think for a couple of weeks I was a bit disheartened. I ain't gonna lie. Like for a while I was a bit disheartened. But then if you keep doing the numbers, you'll start getting good replies. And when you start getting good replies, that's when you know there's a lot of money on the table if you just, put the work in.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you know, but the funny thing is though that I was in the exact same situation because when I started, I still remember. Like, I'll be honest with you, a big part of me, I had done it for 6 years, right, for someone else. But even me, like I was actually doubting whether I could do it for myself. It's so weird. Like until you see some level of success, you do die. Like Seth, of course, like even like okay, Seth, like what about you though? Because technically, so you haven't yet seen a placement. Inshallah, you do. But yeah, how did it make you feel when you like got that? Because I remember when you came, you were like, bro, yeah, I got a job. When you came to that event, do you feel like, oh yeah, like it's possible, or do you feel like, oh, I still need more confidence by seeing a placement?
To be honest, subhanAllah, like when they got the interviews, right, I was thinking, like, look how close. Now, first of all, I couldn't even believe it because I was thinking, I'm doing this first time I've ever started a business.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even think it was possible
Yeah.
for some reason because I'm so used to going somewhere like working a 9 to 5. I didn't even know if this was type of like this was possible where I could arrange an interview between a company and a person and speak about payments and percentages. And I was thinking, subhanallah, like look at that. And then even the person got the job, I was thinking, yeah, you know what I mean? Like look how close I am now to getting the first payment. Obviously they chose not to go for it, and that's completely fine. But that gave me a lot of inspiration really, and motivation to look forward and to say, look, if this was my, in the first 2 weeks, already 2 interviews, if I smash this out for 3 months, inshallah, and if I start getting, 20, 25 jobs, having 20 CVs out at once, and imagine how much, potential there is just making that every month. Yeah.
So we had a call. Obviously, the others don't know about this, but we had a call, right? And like it's honestly it's so funny that I'm gonna bring this up. But we had a call, and I asked you about your emails. Run me through what was said in that conversation.
Yeah. Subhanallah. Like what was happening was, so for example, for people that don't know, when you do call somebody, a gatekeeper will normally, or they tend to give you an email of who deals with that. Now that's a good thing, to be fair, because if you keep on top of it and you generate leads and stuff, you can always get a job from there. I was sending out an email, but I was kind of doing it the wrong way. Well, I was definitely doing it the wrong way. So I was writing quite a long message. I was even putting the percentages that I'm, going to offer. Even though I've watched the email module like maybe 3 or 4 times, for some reason, I don't even know. Thinking about it now, it's kind of like it was like automatic because I was thinking, oh, look, am I going to be rude if I send too short of a message? So I was sending long messages which weren't getting replied to. After speaking to you, then I understood. Look, short and simple. You were saying, look, just say, look, I've got welders. Are you interested? Let me know. From doing that in the last, from Monday to now, alhamdulillah, I've been getting so many more emails, and it's unbelievable. It still doesn't make sense to me, to be fair. In my head, I'm thinking, you want someone to explain it. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it is. They get a bit more like, okay, what's he like? Has he really got some? What's he got? Whereas when you put everything on the plate for them, it leaves them no questions to really ask or reply. Really, you know what I mean?
Plus, it's the main fact that they read it. And just to add to that, the funny thing was, you said to me, and a lot of our conversation, I assumed a lot of the things, and I was certain that you were doing things a certain way without actually asking you, because you said to me, I'm sending emails, I've got no replies. And I said, what kind of email are you sending? Because I already knew, like, if you send one line, bro, I'm very confident in that one line email that if you send 100 emails, you're going to get replies because people will read it and they don't feel obliged. By the way, look, they don't feel obliged to send you a long email, but if you send a long email and they reply no, they're gonna feel like, oh, that's weird. Like, you know what I mean? They feel like that's rude. Like if you send them one sentence and they reply no, that's perfectly fine because you couldn't be asked writing an email, so they can't be asked writing a big email. You know what I mean? It's just how this stuff works. Like it's such a weird psychology. You send an email which is only one line and it's not a massive sales email, someone will actually read it and therefore reply. And because there's an email thread, they will actually reply later on in that time. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, 100%.
It's mad. What have you guys been finding? Tell me this though. What has been easier that you thought would be harder? Because I think I know the answer, but I want you guys to say it. Ronnie, let's go with you. You're like on the left first, then.
Getting clients.
Okay.
Getting clients, when you start recruitment, you think that's the goal. You think getting clients is the goal. Then you realize after you've been doing work for a few months, you've been doing calls. Okay, now you have like 5-6 clients, and they've given you like 7-8 jobs. But now you need to fill those 7-8 jobs. Where are these people? You can't find them.
Yeah.
It's
There's so many
impossible to find them.
CVs. Yeah, there's so many CVs on CV Live, but it's never for the job roles you get.
Trust me. Yeah,
Never.
man.
And then you put on LinkedIn, and everyone who fits the role doesn't want to do it, or they'll go to an interview, they'll get the job, but they don't want the job, and they'll it's
what
so
about
many
you,
things.
though? I feel like you're a bit more confident in the ability. Maybe I don't know. Like you tell me, but like when you
Talking about
started,
me.
yeah. You like I'm saying,
What?
like, did you feel like, oh yeah, like yes, yeah, I'm gonna do all right, basically, or were you like unsure when you started?
To be fair, when I started, like I've never been afraid to pick up a call. Like,
Yeah.
brother, they're never gonna see my face, and if I flop, I just put the phone down. You know what I mean? So I was never like worried in that sense.
Bro, I
Like
love
I
this
was
guy.
I was like, so I was making calls left, right, and center straight away off the back. I didn't even, to be honest with you, straight after I'd done the sales module, I was like, let me just do this call anyway. Let me see, and then if I get stuck on the next part, I'll watch the next part when I get to it, kind of thing. Yeah. So I just started practicing, and getting the leads is not the hard part. As much as people think, like I thought getting the leads would be the hard part, and the candidates are just there. So once I get a lead, the candidates
The
are just like,
amount of people that say to me, why would a company work with you? And I'm like, oh, like, honestly, that's the easiest part. Like getting a job on and getting a client to work with you is so easy because if they need someone, they need someone. They're not going to say no. If you need something and you come to you in a certain manner, in a certain way, you're going to say, okay, fine.
It's the simple economics of supplying towards the demand.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so getting a client or getting a lead is the easiest part. The hardest part, which I thought would be the easiest part, is finding the correct candidate.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to it, and sometimes like if you're using purely CV library, sometimes the information that they put on the thing is not accurate. So when you give them a call, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Now some of them will be like, yeah, okay, yeah, we drive and we got a driving license, but they don't. So it makes all the big difference because they can't get to work because it could be a 20-minute drive, like an hour and a half train or bus. So it messes so many things up. So it's the fact that you can't just go on there and just send a CV. You have to give them a call. That's obviously for GDPR reasons as well. And sometimes they won't pick up, and then you have to move, and then you just run out. And sometimes, right now, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't want to work for some reason.
Yeah.
Because they're working so hard, and all the bills are coming out of their money, and their take home is less than what they'd get if they're sat at home on universal credit. So a lot of people are not even bothering to work right now.
100%. A lot of people are realizing. In fact, a lot of people are realizing. I actually made a video about this about 6-7 months ago. That I genuinely think a lot less people will be working jobs in the future, and that's simply because people they're just not getting enough benefit for working a job. You know what I mean? So it's true, which will mean that unfortunately clients are begging. That's the worst thing. That actually, if you look at it. And Seth, don't mind me saying, bro, but like this is something that we discussed and we realized that in essence, it was a mistake that you were making, right? That because when we start the business, our mindset is, it's going to be hard to get clients, right? Then we think, when the client says yes, we're like, oh, wow, I need to fulfill this guy's job and I need to work my backside off to get a candidate. But the reality is that might be difficult for you to do. So then you just, because there's so many clients looking for jobs, there's so many people who are looking for employees, you just need to find the one who is easier to find and, you know, is going to be listening straight away. You'll get loads of clients actually saying we need people. We just need to find the client that actually says, you know, we need someone. And you go on TV Library, or you go here, you go there. It's an easier fill. It's easier, you know. That's actually what you need to do. But a lot of people, in fact, fail at this. They'll focus on just finding the candidates for one job. It's the biggest mistake you can do.
Yeah, I would definitely say to anybody that's going to start now, from what I've learned, is if you've got a job, that's all fine. But don't think, look, I'm not going to do the sales calls now and just start ringing candidates for 4 or 5 hours. And to be honest with you as well, like the other brother was saying, people normally answer, well, they will answer after work. So a lot of the times when you're ringing at 2, 3 o'clock anyway, they're not really going to answer. So it ends up being a waste of time. And unfortunately, for a couple of days, to be fair, I was just, you know, doing sales calls in the morning. Afternoon, I'm thinking I've got 8 jobs on. I need to find someone, and I'm panicking because I can't find anyone. And then that's it. But if you've got like 20, 25 jobs, then you're bound to find a decent candidate, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it's better just to focus on that at the beginning, I guess.
Genuinely is a numbers game, honestly. Like, because if you've got
yeah.
20, 25 jobs, you will find a candidate. You know, there's going to be easy job there, basically. So it's like, if you've got 20 jobs, you're going to have some which are extremely hard, and you're going to find some which are like super easy, basically. You just need to find the super easy ones where genuinely you can find